As the clock struck midnight and a new year began, New York City also entered a new political era. In an abandoned subway station beneath City Hall, Zohran Mamdani raised his right hand and took the oath that made him the mayor of America's largest city. At just 34 years old, Mamdani is not only the youngest mayor in modern New York history, he is also its first Muslim mayor and one of the most openly progressive leaders ever to take control of the city. Supporters call this a moment of hope. Critics warn of disruption ahead. Either way, one thing is clear: New York City is about to change. Tonight, we break down Zohran Mamdani's historic inauguration, his ambitious progressive agenda, and what his leadership could mean for New York and for American politics nationwide. But make sure to subscribe USA Close Up. In the first minutes of the new year, Zohran Mamdani was officially sworn in as mayor at the old City Hall subway station, a long decommissioned stop rarely seen by the public. Standing beside his wife, Rama Duwaji, Mamdani took the oath administered by New York State Attorney General Letitia James. "Happy New Year to New Yorkers, both inside this tunnel and above," Mamdani said moments after being sworn in. "This is truly an honor and a privilege of a lifetime." The location was symbolic. According to his transition team, Mamdani deliberately chose the historic subway station to represent his commitment to the working people who keep the city running every day: transit workers, service employees, and essential staff who often go unseen. New York law mandates that mayoral terms officially begin on January 1st following an election. To avoid any uncertainty over leadership, the city has long upheld the tradition of a quiet, just-after-midnight swearing-in ceremony. Mamdani followed that tradition, but gave it his own unmistakable political message. Zohran Mamdani's rise to power has been nothing short of extraordinary. Born in Uganda and raised in New York, Mamdani entered politics as a state lawmaker and quickly gained attention for his unapologetically progressive views. Running as a democratic socialist, Mamdani built his campaign around one central issue: affordability. In a city where rent, transportation, and childcare costs continue to skyrocket, he promised bold solutions, including a freeze on rent increases, free public buses, and expanded access to childcare. Those promises resonated. In November's election, Mamdani inspired a record-breaking turnout of more than 2 million voters. He captured nearly 50% of the vote, finishing almost 10 points ahead of former Governor Andrew Cuomo, who ran as an independent, and far ahead of Republican candidate Curtis Sliwa. For many Democrats nationwide, Mamdani's victory is being closely watched as a potential blueprint for the party's future ahead of upcoming midterm elections. Mamdani's policy goals are ambitious and controversial. At the top of his agenda is affordability. He has pledged to freeze rents from millions of tenants living in rent-stabilized apartments. He also supports free city buses and expanded childcare programs, arguing that transportation and early education should be public goods, not privileges. To fund these initiatives, Mamdani plans to raise taxes on millionaires. His incoming deputy mayor, Dean Fulihan, has confirmed that the administration will move forward with tax increases aimed at the city's wealthiest residents. Fulihan says the goal is twofold: pay for campaign promises and stabilize New York City's budget. He also downplayed fears that higher taxes would drive wealthy residents out of the city, saying there is little evidence to support that claim. Still, critics argue that such policies could discourage investment and strain New York's economy, especially as the city continues to recover from pandemic-era financial challenges. One of the most notable figures at Mamdani's swearing-in was Attorney General Letitia James, one of his earliest and most prominent supporters. James is no stranger to political conflict. During President Trump's first term, she launched investigations into his business practices in New York. In 2024, a judge ruled that Trump had fraudulently overstated his net worth to mislead lenders. Now, during Trump's second term, the administration has accused James of mortgage fraud, allegations she has firmly denied. Political analysts say James's role in Mamdani's inauguration sends a clear signal: According to Syracuse University political science professor Grant Rear, it reassures Mamdani's core supporters that the new mayor will remain independent of the White House even after a reportedly cordial meeting with President Trump. Mamdani himself has been a sharp critic of Trump, particularly on immigration policy, and has made it clear that their differences are significant. While the midnight ceremony was intimate, Mamdani's team planned a much larger public inauguration later in the day. The official ceremony takes place on the steps of City Hall, followed by music and speeches in City Hall Plaza before a crowd of approximately 4,000 guests. Additional viewing areas along Broadway allow the public to watch via livestream, an event branded by his team as the inauguration of a new era. Presiding over the ceremony is Senator Bernie Sanders, the progressive Vermont senator and Brooklyn native, whom Mamdani has repeatedly cited as a major inspiration. Also appearing is Representative Ocasio-Cortez, another leading figure in the progressive movement. The scale of the celebration reflects Mamdani's fundraising success. He raised $2.6 million for the transition and inauguration events from nearly 30,000 contributors, more than any New York mayor this century, both in total funds and number of donations. Mamdani's new role also comes with a dramatic change in lifestyle. Until now, he lived in a one-bedroom apartment in Astoria, Queens, protected by the city's rent stabilization laws. As mayor, he will move into Gracie Mansion, the historic official residence of New York City mayors, located on Manhattan's Upper East Side. The move symbolizes the transition from grassroots campaigning to executive leadership and raises questions about how Mamdani will balance his outsider image with the responsibilities of governing one of the world's most complex cities. Initially, bankers and business leaders in New York, the financial capital of the United States, expressed concern about Mamdani's election. His Democratic Socialist label and tax proposals raised alarms in corporate circles. But since his victory, many in the business community have begun exploring ways to work with the new administration. History suggests cooperation is possible. New York has seen a Democratic Socialist mayor before, David Dinkins, who served from 1990 to 1993. Though Dinkins downplayed his association with the Democratic Socialists Association, he successfully addressed budget deficits and convinced private businesses to remain in the city during a challenging economic period. Supporters argue Mamdani could follow a similar path. Zohran Mamdani's inauguration marks more than just a change in leadership. It represents a bold experiment in progressive governance at the heart of America's most influential city. Whether his agenda delivers lasting reform or sparks political backlash remains to be seen. But one thing is undeniable. New York City has entered a new chapter, one that could reshape the future of urban politics across the country. As Mamdani himself put it, this is the beginning of a new era. The question now is how that era will unfold.